This is the 1/4 till 2 square, and I have 3 colors here, and I've been changing which one is color A, which one is color B, and which one is color C for each of these squares that I've been making. So I am making my 3rd one now, and this white is going to be, or this off-white here is going to be color A. The kind of burgundy-ish line is going to be color B, and this nice little dark green is going to be color C. I am using an H hook, which is also an 8 hook or a 5mm hook. To begin, we chain 4. Now slip stitch into the first chain that you made. We're going to form a nice little ring here. Here we go. I like to kind of hold that center of the ring so that I can find it again. And when I work into this ring, I'm also going to work around the tail of my yarn. Chain 2, which is going to count as our first double crochet. Then we're going to double crochet into the ring. Chain 2 and 4 double crochets into the ring. I'm going to do that 2 more times where we chain 2 and then 4 double crochet into the ring. Chain 2. 2 more double crochet into the ring. Now with color B, we're not cutting color A, we're just grabbing color B. We are going to slip stitch into the top of the beginning of our chain 2. Just going into the top of my beginning chain 2, I am going to yarn over with color B and pull that through, and then give color A a little bit of a tug. And there is the end of round 1. Round 2, I'm going to chain 1 loosely, back post double crochet around each of the first 2 stitches. So we yarn over, and then we're going to come up behind this first stitch of the previous round, and then pull it to the back. Okay, that's our back post. And then pull up a loop, and now there's 3 loops on our hook. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, and do that again. Yarn over, come up from behind the next stitch, pull it to the back, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. There we go. Now in that corner, we're going to place a half double crochet, chain 2, half double crochet. Half double crochet, chain 1, 2, and half double crochet. Back post double crochet around each of the next 2, and then front post double crochet around each of the next 2 after that. So back post around each of the next 2. So we're coming and pulling that post to the back, making the double crochet around the post. That's 1, and there is 2. And now front post double crochet around each of the next 2. So we still do the yarn over, only now we're going in from the front and pulling that post towards the front. Yarn over, pull up a loop, and then finish our double crochet. And 1 more front post double crochet. Then in the corner, we are again doing half double, chain 2, half double. Front post double crochet around each of the next 2 stitches. So front post and front post. Now here's where we change to color 3, and rather than finishing up this very last stitch in color B, I'm going to finish up that last stitch using color C to make the change a little neater. Okay, there's my color C. Now we are going to back post double crochet around each of the next 2 stitches. Half double crochet, 2 chain 2, half double crochet in the corner. Back post double crochet around each of the next 2 stitches. Front post double crochet around each of the next 2 stitches. Half double crochet, chain 2, half double crochet in the corner. front post double crochet around each of the next 2 stitches. Now back to color A. You want the actual working end of the yarn, not the tail end. You'll be very sad if you use the tail end and then run out really soon. You're going to slip stitch into the 3rd loop of the 1st stitch. Okay, you see here is our first, what was that, a back post double crochet. You see here's the top 2 loops, the front loop and the back loop. We're going to kind of go behind the back loop and find this little, that's the 3rd loop. Okay, front loop, back loop, and just kind of push the back loop and grab that little loop behind it. That is the 3rd loop. We are now going to yarn over, pull through everything, and then tighten up color C. That is going to join our round without messing up the look of the top loops of our stitches, which are going to get pushed towards the front in our next stitch. So we want them to look nice. Round 3, we are going to chain 1 loosely and then back post double crochet around each of the first 3 stitches. The first stitch here is kind of thick because it includes that chain 1 loosely and the back post double crochet. And yes, you are including them both. You're just using them as one entire stitch together, okay? So we yarned over, pulled up that loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. That very first stitch on each of these rounds, you just have to take it a little slow to make sure you get everything, okay? Now we're going to back post double crochet around each of the next 2 as well. Then 2 half double, chain 2, 2 half double in the corner. And at this point, you want to follow this pattern around to complete your round, because there aren't any more color changes in this round. The next round will have them. So again, we have back post double crochet around each of the next 3 stitches, front post double crochet around each of the next 2 stitches, 2 half double crochet, chain 2, 2 half double crochet, and then continue following the pattern all the way around to the end of this round. There are no color changes in this round. Here we are at the end of round 3, and now with color C, I am going to slip stitch into the 3rd loop of the first stitch that I made to join. So again, here is the first stitch. There's the front loop, there's the back loop, and then just behind the back loop, there's another loop. That is the 3rd loop. And I'm going to yarn over. Oh, look at that. You see how I caught the tail here? I don't really want to be catching the tail. There. So move the tail out of my way. And then if you have a little tangle, what you might want to do is when you start with a new color, just kind of figure out where it is, grab it, and pull it so that it's at the top of your pile of yarn. Get yourself untangled. Now again, front loop, back loop, push that back loop forward, grab that 3rd loop. I'm not catching anything that I shouldn't be catching. Yarn over, pull through everything, and then pull color A to tighten. And here we have finished round 3. Round 4 begins with chaining 1 loosely. Okay. Now back post double crochet around each of the first 5 stitches. So yarn over, back post, we're pulling the post to the back. All right, and as I said before, the first stitch is a little tricky. You can get it. There's 1. Now, half double crochet, chain 2, half double crochet. Back post double crochet around each of the next 5 stitches. Front post double crochet around each of the next 5 stitches. half double crochet, chain 2, half double crochet in that corner. Front post double crochet around each of the next 5 stitches. Here is where we change color, so I'm not finishing that very last stitch. Instead, I'm going to yarn over with color B. Again, first I'm going to untangle it. There we go. Yarn over and pull through that very last part of this stitch with color B. Now we are going to back post double crochet around each of the next 5 stitches. Half double crochet, chain 2, half double crochet in the corner. And at this point, you should be able to finish this round and also the next 2 rounds. So go ahead, finish round 4, 5, and 6, and we will meet back here for round 7. This is the end of round 6. I am going to slip stitch into the 3rd loop of the very first stitch I made with color A. Tighten up color C there. Now I'm going to chain 1. This one does not say loosely, so just chain 1. It doesn't have to be tight, just don't make it really loose. Now we back post single crochet around each of the first 9 stitches. So back post single crochet, it's the same idea as with the doubles. You're just making a single instead. So you do not start with a yarn over. You immediately pull that post to the back, yarn over, pull up a loop, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2. And just keep doing that. We need the 9 back post single crochets across the top here. That was 2. Chain 2 and skip the corner. We're not working into the corner at all, we're just skipping it. And now we're going to back post single crochet around each of the next 9 stitches on the next side. Front post single crochet around each of the next 9 stitches. Same idea, just pulling the post to the front instead of the back. Chain 2 and skip that chain 2 corner underneath here. Front post single crochet around each of the next 9 stitches. Now you should be able to just finish off this round. So meet me again at the end of this round and we will make the final round. Finish that last single crochet of round 7, and now we're just going to slip stitch into the top loop of the first single crochet that we made. And that finishes off round 7, and now our last round is round 8. We chain 1, and then we're just going to single crochet in each stitch to the next chain 2 space. So that's going to actually be, at this side, it's going to be 9 single crochet until we get to the chain 2 space. All right, now we're at the chain 2 space, and we are going to single crochet, chain 2, single crochet in both of these chain 2 spaces. Here's the chain 2 space we skipped before. That's in round 6, and here's the chain 2 space in round 7. We're actually going to make these single crochets around both of those chain 2 spaces. So there's a single crochet, and then chain 2, and then single crochet again. And now single crochet in each stitch across to the next chain 2 space, which will be 18 single crochet. If you are doing this with color changes like I'm doing, it should be pretty easy to see which one of these 2 sets of stitches you should be working into, because it's going to be the same color. If for whatever reason your rounds 6 and 7 are both the same color, then it might be a little more difficult for you to figure out which round is which. So you need to make sure that you are actually working into the stitches from round 7 when you work round 8. We're at this next chain 2 corner, and again, we're working over both of the last 2 chain 2 corners. The chain 2 corner from round 7 and the chain 2 corner from round 6. We are working over both of them. Single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet. We are going to continue in this manner all the way around this round, and then we will meet back up again at the very end of this round to do our finishing. I finished the last stitch of round 8. I'm not going to do the slip stitch to join because I like to do my little invisible join. You can do the slip stitch to join if that's what you so choose, no worries. I am going to now, you saw I cut this thread, and I cut the colors B and C threads after round 6. Now here I have thread up the end of my color A, and you can see this little loop is on top of this stitch, right? It's a little hard to see in the white. Then the next stitch right here has a loop on top of it. What we want to do is duplicate that next stitch's loop. Okay, so we're going to go, I'm using the butt end of my needle so that I don't split the yarn with the pointy end. I'm going to actually look at this little loop here. That's the first loop on the starting side of my round, and I'm going to insert the end of my needle right underneath where it goes underneath. Okay, and then come back down through. You see, this is where my yarn came out of in the first place. I'm now going to insert my needle back through the same spot. And that makes a little duplicate stitch on top. You just have to kind of pull it to the right size to make that duplicate stitch on top. And now you can weave in all your ends. I know it was kind of hard to see on the white. You might want to check out some of my other videos to see it on a color that's a little easier to see that on. Okay, there we go. When I weave in, if I weave in over a long amount like I did just there, I give it a little tug before I go back the other direction because I don't want to accidentally make it too tight. Okay, that's one of those things that you can do with weaving in your ends is you can either make a big chunk because you go back and forth too many times. You really only need to change directions the once, especially if you're using a sharp pointed needle like this where you're going to be splitting the threads. And also if you pull it too tight, giving which essentially takes away some of the movement of your crochet, and the movement is one of the awesome parts that we like. Okay, so again, I went that way, then I turn, go back the other direction, and because my needle is pointy, it will kind of split some threads and stay in a little better. I really like using these pointy end needles for weaving in my ends. This piece, of course, has 6 ends to weave in. We used 3 colors. We never cut any of them until we were done with them, so that makes 2 ends on 3 colors each is 6 ends, right? When you get to the center, you can go ahead and, give it a nice little pull. It's not going to pull all the way shut, and honestly, even if you're able to pull it all the way shut, it might look a little funky if you do, because it will kind of gather that first round. So like I pull it tight, and then what I do is I kind of give it a little wiggle until I think, okay, that looks nice. That lays nicely. Okay, so there we go. I think that lays nicely. And now, because I did weave it in all the way around already, I'm just going to go over the same direction once, just a tiny bit more, not all the way around, because it's already been woven in all the way around when I worked over the tail on the first round. So I just moved it over a few more stitches, and then I'm going to turn and go back the opposite direction a little ways. And this is going to be really nice and secure. All right, so no worries. And then 2 more ends. We're almost there. When you are done with this, this most definitely needs to be blocked. Okay, so you have a couple options on how you can do that. You can just soak it, so it's like you can just get it wet and block it out. I find that depending on the fiber content, sometimes it kind of makes it stretch a little bit more than I want. You can put some hot water in a spray bottle and give it a nice little spray with hot water and then lay it out and block it. You can steam it, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pin this down on my table so that it is a 6-inch square, and then I'm going to hit it with some steam from my steamer. I have a little handheld steamer. You can do this with a steaming iron. Just keep in mind that with a steam iron, you do not want to touch the yarn with the iron. You want to hover the iron over your yarn and just press the steam button so that it's only the steam that is hitting the yarn, not the hot face of the iron. That can do some horrible things, various horrible things, depending on what the fiber content of your yarn is. So you just want to hit with the steam. Right, there we go. I wove in all of my ends, and now I'm going to cut them. And there is my last square. I really think I like this white one the best. All right, so we've got the little white guy, the little green base guy, and the little red based guy. So there we go. We've got our 3